Okay, we're here with a Division One player. We're really excited to talk with her about her experiences both in middle school, high school, and maybe even into college. And we're going to have a couple of discussion points here. I'm also going to talk a little bit about my experiences as well. So, welcome. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
First thing we're going to talk about is experiences as a youth player, basically up to the ages of 12. And I'll go first. Basically, again, this is interesting because it's a generational difference here. I'm significantly older, and our model was more about playing in the park and playing locally and working on your game, and then really getting after it when school started. So, I mean, I played basketball every day, basically all day. And it was super competitive, but we never had the leagues and stuff. And there's benefit to that as well. What was your experience like as a youth player?
So I grew up with a sister. She was 6 years older than me, and my mom was also her coach. So I kind of grew up with a ball in my hand, just going to her practices. And I also had a really good high school coach that got us started really young. So in like first, second grade, we had like camps every Saturday in the wintertime. And then, of course, we did have leagues. So I was always playing with my school during them times too. So I was definitely playing basketball probably every day too, because if I didn't have it with my high school, I was playing outside with my cousins and stuff like that too.
You know, it's an advantage to have that sibling. I had two older brothers, significantly older, 6 and 7 years older than me. So that's a big advantage for any parents that are listening to this. If you happen to have an older sibling who is interested in that sport, somehow get those kids playing together. Maybe it's a natural thing. They play together anyway. But these youngsters can really learn a lot by playing with these older kids. Now let's talk a little bit about like middle school. Again, in my experience was there were no middle school teams. Basically, we just played basketball and we didn't enter any events. It was just a different time. What was your experience like in middle school?
So in 7th grade, I actually started playing travel basketball. So I started traveling, not super far. It was more of a local team. So I didn't travel all over the place. But I also, with my high school, my middle school at the time, we had like summer leagues and stuff like that. Every Wednesday, I think it was. We were playing every week for quite a few weeks out of the summer. So we were staying busy doing that.
Let me ask you, in that travel experience as a middle schooler, were there some players on that team, maybe even the majority, I don't know, who would probably have been better served to just work on their skills and work on their conditioning? Because I know you're an extraordinary player, but not every player is at your level. Talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. We would have a few kids that kind of weren't really ready to play like that travel ball. So it would just take a little bit more time and work with them. So sometimes they'd even be working on different stuff than us kids there. So they definitely would have benefited from just their conditioning, working on that, and their own basketball skills alone.
There's a real benefit to that too, because those kids you're like becoming a model and a mentor, like a captain type person. Yep. And it's great for your development and maturity as well. Now, how about into high school? I know you blossomed as a high school player. Tell us a little bit about your practice regimen and what your like day-to-day and month-to-month activities were like in high school.
So I think it was in the fall. I had travel ball, so I was traveling all over the place in high school. And then I also had a personal trainer who I still train with today. So I was training with her since also that was probably 7th grade. I started that too. But high school basketball, we had summer leagues too. So I was always playing with my summer league team for my high school, and then also my travel team outside of that. And I was also playing softball at the time, so I was skunked with a bunch of stuff. But just time with my high school team and stuff like that too. I was definitely staying busy playing ball.
Now, what about the conditioning element? I've seen kids who are reasonably good players, but they're just not in shape, yep. And they don't work at it. And to me, conditioning is the number one component, yep, to competitiveness. Yep. Talk a little bit about conditioning, whether it's now or what you were doing in high school.
So in high school, our high school provided us a weightlifting class. So I had that in the morning, which that helped me a lot. Because in high school, I didn't really know like the technique to lifting and stuff like that. So having a teacher teach me that was incredible, and that helped me more than probably any other class in high school. And I feel like when you're playing basketball that much, you're in shape. So when season came around, I was kind of already ready to go, and that helped me tremendously because in the beginning of the season, a lot of people are out of shape already, but I was coming into it and I was ready to go. So.
How much weight training were you doing, and when did you sort of start this weight? Do you remember the ages where you sort of started kicked in a little bit?
So freshman year was when I really started like lifting.
Yeah.
I always liked working out. My dad pushed me a lot,
Yeah.
but I never started too early because I wanted to grow and stuff like that before I started lifting. But once I did start in high school, I was hitting it probably 3 days, 4 days a week.
For the basics parents that are listening to this, we're real big into weight training, and
Yep.
there's a certain component and a certain way to do it. Most kids don't do it right. They lift too much too quickly,
Yep.
and we can show them how to do it. So that's something that we don't really advertise that much, but it's a private session, and we show kids how to lift for basketball. Let's talk about mental strength, because you just went through the mental strength
Yep.
training with basics. Talk a little bit about that and how you think it's going to help you this year.
So I focused a lot on my mistakes, and I kind of always have. I just always wanted to be a perfectionist. But taking the mental strength training and just talking to coach definitely helped me just realize like the game is a game of mistakes, and just being able to like realize that everybody's gonna make mistakes and that mine aren't so like important, and just that's all I can think of. So I think just being able to handle those and just turn them into lessons learned rather than dreading them, that's gonna help me a lot.
The one thing about it, and we talked about this during your session, was if you handle your mistakes well, you send positive messages to everybody. Most kids don't handle mistakes well. Most players make mistakes or they fail at something, and it actually hurts their performance. For the parents that are listening, this is something that's terrific about the mental strength training. Kids who make mistakes can use that mistakes are an opportunity. We send messages to the opponent. Okay, yeah, I screwed up. Yeah, maybe you blocked my shot. Okay, I dribbled the ball or I made a bad pass and you stole it. That's not going to bother me. And you send these positive messages. The reverse is true too. If you don't handle your mistakes well, the opponent is like blood in the water. They're going to attack. So it's important to understand handling mistakes is just a component of the mental strength. Now, tell me a little bit. I'll talk about coaches for a second, and then I'd like you to talk about your coaches, and you can name names or not name names.
Okay.
My coach in high school was Bob Sylvester. He's in the High School Basketball Hall of Fame in New England. He's like 88. He lives in Florida. I'm still in touch with this guy. He was super influential in my life. I was an awkward, sort of skinny teenager, and he helped me gain confidence, not just in myself, but my ability. Most importantly, he taught me some drills, which I did not know. I'm a real drill-driven player, because I figure if I can excel in a certain movement, whether it's a left-handed jump hook or whether it's an up and under, or whether it's a ball fake with one dribble drive, these were like specific movements, and I became good at them, and Sylvester's the reason why. Super influential in my life. How about you?
So my high school basketball coach, so he was coaching me since I was in elementary too. He was with me throughout my whole career really. And he kind of just put a basketball in my hand whenever I wanted it. And I think that was really all I needed was open the gym. He would open it in 2 seconds. So along with that, like when I got in high school, he still made it fun. Like it never was like I'm dreading to go to practice. He always found ways to make it enjoyable. So that was something that I really was thankful for growing up.
Yeah, just coaches are so important, and we take our position here with Basics very seriously with your kids in terms of our modeling and our mentoring. Now, tell me a couple things maybe you'd like the parents to know as we finish up here.
So growing up, I feel like a lot of us kids are kind of so impacted by like what our parents say. So sometimes just the simplest things, just you had a good game, whatever, love watching him play, just things like that kind of mean a lot to us. And I just want you guys to know that. And we're sometimes already so down on ourselves we don't need to hear anything else, but we love you. So just being positive makes a really big difference.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast series on parents. Just know how influential you are. Be supportive and patient. Give them a chance to fail and to learn by failing. I know it's not easy in this environment, but it's super important. Now, what about the players? What would you like to say to you've worked with a bunch of basics players here.
Yep.
What would you like to say to the players?
Just have fun. Don't make it a job. Don't make it so serious. Just enjoy the game, and whatever happens is going to happen. Just keep working hard, and at the end of the day, you're going to get what you put in the time for. So just have fun. Go play basketball outside. Don't take it so seriously. Just enjoy it.
You know, that again leads into the mental strength training.
Yeah.
Players who have skill and condition are these are the two. There are two of the three legs of the three-legged stool: skill, conditioning, and how you think. Players who have skill and condition, the first two legs, who then play like the outcome doesn't matter, are the best, most dangerous players on the floor. They don't care. Now, you have to have skill and condition first. Can you imagine having skill and condition and then playing like it didn't matter? I don't want to play against that guy. I don't want to play against that guy. That guy is a dangerous player. So understand, players that you're listening, skill and condition, which is what basics is all about. Work at it all the time. And then with how you think, don't care too much. This is where the parents come into it. Parents, you can't be laying it heavy on them. Why'd you do this in the third quarter? What were you thinking when you did that? That has to go out the window, and just be supportive. Like Coach just said, I love to watch you play. That's like the single greatest thing you can tell your kid. I love to watch you play. Well, it was great having you.
Thank you. I appreciate
and
it.
we look forward to working with you more in the future.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jim.
All right.